The pyramids of Egypt stand as timeless monuments on the desert plateau. For thousands of years, they have captured the human imagination, silent witnesses to a civilization that has long since vanished into the sands of time. When we look at the Great Pyramid of Giza, we are not just seeing a pile of stones. We are looking at a marvel of human ingenuity, dedication, and belief. These structures were built with incredible precision, long before the invention of modern machinery. Their sheer size and perfect alignment continue to baffle engineers and historians alike, raising questions about how an ancient society could achieve such a monumental feat. They were more than just buildings. They were a statement of power and a bridge to the afterlife for the pharaohs who commissioned them. The historical significance of the pyramids is immense. They represent the peak of Egypt's Old Kingdom, a period of great prosperity and centralized power. The construction of these massive tombs required a level of organization and resource management that was unprecedented for its time. It tells us about a society that was highly structured, with a deep understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering. The pyramids were not built in a vacuum. They were the culmination of centuries of architectural evolution, starting from simple mud brick tombs called mastabas and progressing to the step pyramids before finally achieving the true smooth-sided form we recognize today. Each pyramid is a chapter in the long and rich story of ancient Egypt. These structures were designed to last for eternity, and in many ways they have. They have survived earthquakes, wars, and the relentless passage of millennia. Their enduring presence has made them powerful symbols of ancient wisdom and mystery. For the ancient Egyptians, the pyramids were essential to their worldview. They believed that a pharaoh was a divine being, a god on earth, and his successful journey to the afterlife was crucial for the continued prosperity and stability of the kingdom. The pyramid was the vessel that would ensure this journey, a resurrection machine that would allow the pharaoh's spirit to ascend to the heavens and join the gods among the stars. Today on this day, August 11, 2025, our fascination with these ancient wonders has not faded. Modern technology allows us to study them in ways the original builders could never have imagined, using ground-penetrating radar and three-dimensional modeling to uncover their hidden secrets. Yet, the more we learn, the more we appreciate the scale of their achievement. The pyramids remind us of the incredible potential of human collaboration and the desire to leave behind a legacy that transcends a single lifetime. They are not just tombs for dead kings. They are a testament to the enduring spirit of a civilization that dared to build for eternity, and in doing so, achieved a form of it. The journey of a pyramid began deep within the earth, in the stone quarries along the Nile. The primary material for the core of the pyramids was local limestone, quarried right on the Giza Plateau. This stone was relatively soft and easy to work with. Workers would cut deep channels into the rock face using copper chisels and hard dolerite pounders. They would then insert wooden wedges into these channels. When the wedges were soaked with water, they would expand, exerting immense pressure on the limestone. This pressure would eventually cause a massive block of stone to split away from the rock face, ready to be shaped and transported. It was a slow and laborious process, requiring immense physical effort. For the outer casing of the pyramids, a much finer white Tura limestone was used. This limestone was quarried from hills on the opposite side of the Nile. It gave the pyramids a smooth, polished, and brilliant white surface that would have gleamed under the powerful Egyptian sun. The granite used for the inner burial chambers and portcullises was even more challenging to obtain. This incredibly hard stone had to be quarried hundreds of miles to the south, in Aswan. Here, workers used the same dolerite pounders to painstakingly bash out the granite blocks, a process that would have taken an enormous amount of time and manpower to accomplish. Once the stones were freed from the earth, the next great challenge was transportation. Moving blocks weighing several tons each was a logistical masterpiece. The ancient Egyptians utilized the Nile River as their main highway. The stones from Tura and Aswan were loaded onto massive wooden barges during the annual flood season. The inundation of the Nile brought the water level much closer to the pyramid sites, allowing these heavy barges to be floated across the flooded plains to canals and harbors built specifically for the construction project. This clever use of the natural water cycle was essential for moving the heaviest materials over long distances. For the final leg of the journey, from the harbor to the construction site, the blocks were moved over land. Evidence suggests that the Egyptians built causeways and ramps for this purpose. The the massive stones were placed on large wooden sledges. Teams of workers would then pull these sledges across the ground. To reduce friction, it is believed that they poured water onto the sand in front of the sledge, making it much easier to drag the heavy load forward. This was not a simple task of brute force. It was a carefully coordinated effort, likely accompanied by chanting and rhythm to ensure all workers pulled in unison. It was a slow, steady, and monumental procession of stone. The construction of the pyramid itself was a process of remarkable precision and organization. First, the site had to be perfectly leveled. Workers would build a grid of water-filled trenches across the foundation area and then chip away at the rock until the water level was uniform everywhere. Once the base was flat, the astronomers and surveyors would align the pyramid with incredible accuracy to the 4 cardinal points. They likely used the stars to achieve this, resulting in a structure that was almost perfectly oriented north, south, east, and west. This careful preparation was the foundation upon which the entire monumental structure would rest, ensuring its stability for millennia. With the foundation set, the assembly of the stone blocks began. The massive core blocks of local limestone were laid down layer by layer. The tools used for this work were simple yet effective. Copper chisels, which had to be frequently resharpened, were used for shaping the blocks. Wooden mallets and hard stone hammers were used for striking the chisels and pounding the stones into place. Workers used simple squares and plumb bobs made of string and weights to ensure that the angles were correct and the walls were perfectly vertical. Accuracy was paramount, as even small errors at the base would be magnified significantly at the top of the pyramid. One of the greatest mysteries is how the Egyptians lifted the heavy blocks to the upper levels of the pyramid. While no definitive answer exists, the most widely accepted theory involves the use of ramps. Archaeologists believe they may have used a long, straight ramp that extended from the ground to the top of the construction level, or perhaps a series of smaller ramps that zigzagged up one face of the pyramid. Another possibility is a spiral ramp that wrapped around the pyramid as it grew taller. As each layer was completed, the ramp would be raised and extended to continue the construction process, a slow and steady climb towards the sky. The final stage of construction was to place the smooth white Tura limestone casing stones. These were set into place from the top down as the construction ramp was gradually dismantled. The casing stones were cut with such precision that a knife blade could not fit between them. Once all the casing stones were in place, they were polished to a brilliant, smooth finish, creating a single, seamless surface. Finally, a capstone, known as a pyramidion, was placed at the very top. This capstone may have been covered in electrum, a mixture of gold and silver, so that it would catch the first and last rays of the sun, a dazzling beacon in the desert. The construction of a pyramid was not the work of a small group, but a massive national project that could take decades to complete. The workforce was a complex and highly organized society in itself. For a long time, it was believed that the pyramids were built by a huge number of slaves, toiling under the whip of cruel overseers. However, modern archaeological discoveries have painted a very different picture. Excavations of the workers' village near the Giza pyramids have revealed that the builders were in fact skilled Egyptian laborers. They were well fed, receiving daily rations of bread, beer, and meat, and they received proper medical care for their injuries. These workers lived in a purpose-built town near the construction site. It was a highly organized community with houses, bakeries, breweries, and workshops. The workforce was likely made up of a permanent, skilled crew of stonemasons, toolmakers, and architects who worked year-round. This core team was supplemented by a much larger, rotating force of temporary laborers. These were likely farmers who came to work on the pyramid during the months of the Nile's annual flood, when their fields were underwater and could not be cultivated. Working on the pharaoh's pyramid was considered a form of civil service or taxation, a way to contribute to the stability and prosperity of the entire kingdom. The scale of this operation was staggering. Building the Great Pyramid, for example, is estimated to have required around 2.3 million stone blocks. To quarry, transport, and assemble this many blocks in roughly 20 years would have required a dedicated and efficient labor force. The workers were organized into crews and divisions, each with its own name and identity, such as the Friends of Khufu or the Drunkards of Menkaura. This suggests a sense of camaraderie and pride in their work. They were not slaves forced into labor. They were participants in a project of immense national and religious importance, building a stairway to the heavens for their divine king. The cultural and religious significance of the pyramids cannot be overstated. They were the focal point of a vast complex of temples, chapels, and causeways dedicated to the cult of the dead king. The Egyptians believed that the pyramid's shape, resembling the rays of the sun, would help the pharaoh's soul ascend to the sky and join the sun god, Ra. The pyramid was a resurrection machine, a powerful symbol of rebirth and eternal life. The immense resources and labor poured into its construction were seen as a necessary investment to ensure the divine order of the cosmos and the continued well-being of the land of Egypt. Their legacy is not just in stone, but in the testament to a culture's profound faith.